The small island paradise of Capraia, situated between Cyprus and Syria, is home to approximately 500 people. The island attracted thousands of tourists in 2011 with its golden sand beaches and the historical castle, just to name two attractions. However, since the Arab Spring kicked off the rebellion in Syria, the non-Alawite Syrians on the island have been living in fear, along with many of the other ethnicities on the island. The Syrian army, that has a strong military presence on the island, was given orders to subdue the island's population in retaliation for questioning the rule of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Since the islanders rebelled, the army contingent on the island has attacked and massacred over 100 civilians in their homes and towns. When news of these attacks reached the international community, United States Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, United Kingdom Secretary of State William Hague, and Turkish Secretary of State Ahmet Davutoglu all condemned the news and used Article 6 of the UN Declaration to commence military operations on the island to defend and protect the remaining civilians who had not fled. British forces commenced military action on the island on the 15th of June as Operation Gryphon. The 16 Air Assault Brigade of the British Army had been in Cyprus on leave from Pakistan and were retasked to Operation Gryphon when a rapid strike was required. As Royal Navy warships, including the HMS Ocean and HMS Sutherland, steamed towards the island and Royal Air Force jets and helicopters were scrambled, the 16 AA conducted a preliminary attack against the Syrian forces on the island in a daring dawn assault. However, the Syrian forces had been underestimated, and the 16 AA suffered heavy casualties before withdrawing. On the 20th, after a successful bombing campaign by the RAF on known Syrian army positions, the 16 AA set off again to attack the garrison. This time, the results were much more satisfactory, and the Syrian forces were pushed back far from the town of Vitoria. The 16 AA had set up a beachhead. On Wednesday, the 16 Air Assault Brigade landed on the southern shore of Capraia in 3 RAF Chinook transport helicopters. They pressed on north under air cover from the RAF, who bombed several enemy patrols and installations. The soldiers fixed bayonets and moved in, clearing the town and all the buildings within it within 30 minutes. There were about a dozen Syrian soldiers in the town, most of whom fled north once they saw that they were going to lose the strategic high ground of Vitoria. The 16 AA then consolidated their position in Vitoria and made sure that it was suitable as a forward operating base, and then pushed the Syrian forces further north, with one section from one platoon providing overwatch and suppressive fire against Syrian forces who were preparing to mount a counterattack. One section linked up with the rest of their platoon and moved on under cover from mortars and GPMG fire, and everyone headed north to put yet more pressure onto the enemy. However, they encountered heavy resistance after one platoon were ambushed in some woods and were forced to fall back to Vitoria. Despite this setback, 16 AA brass and Ministry of Defence officials back in London are hailing this to be the first step in ensuring the safety of the local populace, and in making the rest of the international community put heavier and heavier pressure on Syria in the form of both sanctions and military force. David Evans, embedded AAN news reporter, Capraia.